You are listening to A Quiet Mind. Hello everyone, and congratulations once again for being here in this moment. I have a wonderful letter here that inspired me to just do a short podcast that would include it, because I think it's really a wonderful letter, and that it brings up some very, very interesting points in resistance to changing that which is so right now. And the amazing thing is that in the universe, change is constantly happening. And the part of us that identifies itself as me, mine, and I is the one thing that never really wants to change. And of course, we're speaking of the ego mind, and this letter deals with that. And I'd like to read it, and it is from one of our listeners, and her name is Seda. And I'll just go ahead and read that letter. It says, "Oh, pretty please, help me out with this burning conundrum. You asked us to share what our egos might be throwing out at us, and I think this query is the most significant. I can't wrap my mind/ego around the idea of how I can both accept and still be willing to change my situation." And she uses a good example here. If I am at peace with all kinds of evil, then where does the motivation to resist and change it come from? Perhaps an intellectual approach is the wrong one, and it is only through practicing acceptance with everything that comes up that I will be able to see that change is still possible. But there is this persistent fear in me that I will just become a couch potato, unmotivated to give and grow, and just acclimating myself to unpleasant situations, when I could be resisting them and changing them for the better. Oh, please tell me I've got it all wrong. Now, this is a very interesting letter, because the person that has written this letter has actually answered their own question, and it's really quite beautiful. Obviously, when we start to look at these things that are so different from the conditioned mindset that we've had over the years, the mind is going to resist. Not only that, but it will become spiritually superior in order to start to resist from a different angle that we like to call the super spiritual ego. So there is going to be a tremendous amount of resistance to any kind of change that you are going to be making in your life. The mind holds on to its ideas like a squirrel holds on to its little collection of walnuts all winter long. It holds these, it hoards all of these thoughts and these habits, because these are the identifiers. This is what the mind finds comfort in, that it can constantly identify with the thoughts that it has, the ideas that it has, the concepts that it has, the beliefs that it has, all of the beautiful set-in-stone rules and ways of how it works. It loves this not to change. It does not want this to change at all. So resistance is always going to be coming up when we're working like this. But here is where you answer your own question, where you say, accept. Accept is what we need to do. This is what will happen over time with practice, that we will begin to learn how to accept everything that is going on in our life right now. Believe it or not, just by the the pure acceptance without judging, without condemning, you will find that your life will slowly begin to change without you doing much of anything at all. It's not like you're tricking the mind, but you're not using its tactics. You are not trying to change a habit with the mind that created the habit. You are using what we have called, and I would say, look back on some of the podcasts to where you can find the silent observer, because here is what we're doing is we're using that idea of silent observer, just watching and accepting without any kind of condemning, without any kind of judging at all. Change will come. And believe me, the change will come without there being any kind of labeling as to what is good change and what is bad change. Just by acceptance of what is here right now and how you are right now, and observing silently, change will occur. We have a natural balancing point within ourselves, and that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about connecting with the true self of who we really are, not an idea, but that place within us of pure silence. Now, that is our natural balancing point. This is not a method of any kind at all. We need to hit the ground running, and I like to use that phrase a lot, because we are out here in a society where everything is fast, everything's moving quickly, we have to multitask, we have to do a tremendous amount of mind work throughout the day. So there's not a lot of time for the quiet mind. But when we say the quiet mind, what we're talking about here is always knowing that closer than your next breath is who you really are. And if you persist with this, you will start to see that acceptance brings about change, because change is the nature of the universe, and the universe is who we truly are. And I know that this may sound very cosmic, but when you start to see that within everything in existence, there is something that most people don't spend a lot of time looking at or studying. We're always studying what is inside of it. This thing is space. Imagine that without space, there would be no place for everything in the universe to exist. And in that space is silence. The space between things, the space between thoughts. And this is where we will find ourselves. So I say to you, stick with this. And as I said, you answered your own question beautifully, that if you just accept, change will come. And it will start to come and originate from the silence and the true self that you are. And that's what we need to tap into here. We need to begin to learn from direct experience of the silentness that we have within us, that is our true self. Thank you for listening. I do hope that this answers some of your questions. And I thank you once again for writing in, and I want to encourage other listeners to write in, and I will get to these letters as best I can. And once again, it is robert@aquietmind.com. Thanks for listening.